Welcome back to In Ohio Country today. We're here at the Alan Davis Annual Risk Management Seminar. And with me today is Randy Barclay with Rain and Hail. You know, March 15th is coming up, and that's an important date. So, we're all against the wall, right, for a deadline, right? So, Randy, let's talk a little bit about what we've seen change this year, a couple of things that I think are really good for producers.
You bet. So first of all, thanks for having me today, Alan. It's great to be here and have an opportunity to share with growers. You're right. I mean, 2024 really emphasizes just how important a really sound risk management strategy is, right, for growers. Very growing conditions across the state were so variable, and particularly so many experiencing the lack of rainfall. And more today than ever before, there are so many options available to producers when it comes to crop insurance. There truly isn't a one-size-fits-all. There are multiple choices in crop insurance and options, endorsements, some of which we spoke about here this morning, that can be all the more meaningful because the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation has added some subsidy to some of those things that will help growers with the cost of the premium on those, making it all the more appealing to choose some of those options to further enhance their risk management. But there's also a number of private products that are available that are company specific that can help with things like replant, or also can help to fill the gap on deductible that will help them with, help them with a really sound risk management strategy that can enable them to tailor that more to their specific needs.
Well, it was interesting you mentioned about this past year, and there were some interesting numbers that you shared with the producers today. You want to talk about those a little bit? How many dollars were really paid just in this every area?
You're right. It's when we look at the impact of this most recent growing season, I will tell you that every couple of weeks RMA publishes the most recent numbers that crop insurance companies have delivered upstream in terms of data on loss payments. And so when we look at just the area around Auglaize County, including Allen and Auglaize and Mercer, Shelby, Hardin counties, loss payments so far to date have almost exceeded $25 million. And I think that really speaks to how valuable the safety net is and how important it is to have the right elections, because covering those losses today in what may be a little tighter farm economy it's all the more important, right? And so there are some counties in the state, and I'll name Pickaway and Ross. The further south you go, the drought was a little more intense, and there are now some counties where the loss payments are actually exceeding $25 million.
That's a pretty substantial number when you really sit down and talk about it. And I know I've in conversation we've talked about there's been a couple claims the actual producers themselves have gotten very substantial amounts of money.
Yeah, you bet, and some that have exceeded seven figures, and that really speaks to just how important the safety net is, because it'll keep them farming again, right? That's the intent. Is that producer is growing food that ultimately finds its way to our table. We enjoy a steady, as a consumer, we enjoy a steady food supply, right? And appreciate the fact that we can go to a local grocer and fill that cart. And so all the more having that reliable food supply is just so important. And so this program is just paramount to helping producers weather really tough years.
Well, and so it's not only, like the past year where we really, as it turned out, had those larger losses, but there's a couple endorsements that are available that got some increase or made more affordable by RMA for the producer. You want to just talk about that? We don't want to get too specific, but maybe just kind of share with our audience how RMA has made those products more affordable.
Yeah, you bet. So one of those notably is an enhanced coverage option, and it surfaced or came to fruition, I believe, in 2020. And it's been steadily gaining traction. And what the intent of that endorsement is to fill part of the deductible that growers have with their existing crop insurance program. Particularly when I say fill that deductible, it's to protect against losses that might tend to be a little more shallow when we've not had a year that's quite delivered on expectations, but still been a bit of a struggle. And so that's the intent of the enhanced coverage option. I would encourage those who are listening today, as they think about risk management solutions, they need to make those choices or have those choices completed by March 15th. So we're coming up on that just a matter of weeks. And so talk with your agent about those. It's really an interesting option, has become more affordable to your point because it got quite a bump in subsidy that helps with a grower paid premium. So talk to an agent and ask them about the enhanced coverage option and how that might fit. May not be for everyone, but it'll be a tool that many will choose to use for 2025.
And we talked about private products, and I think this is probably a private product that is, in my opinion, probably underutilized. And is the replan option. You want to just kind of talk about that briefly for our audience?
Yeah, you bet. So thanks for asking about that. And so, yes, Rain and Hail has a private product called Replan Extra. And the intent of those type of products is to provide some additional help when a crop has failed to establish a suitable stand, after planting. And if they find themselves in need of replanting, again, the intent is to provide some additional help. So with Replan Extra, it provides several benefits. It pays quicker. In fact, it pays replant if they find themselves having to do that on the very first acre. It also buys up that initial plant date. And something that I think most farmers are aware of is that there's a lot of discussion about planting crops earlier because we have fewer days throughout that spring suitable for field work, right? And so I'll use soybeans as an example. Soybeans, there's some discussion about planting those again earlier, maybe earlier than the initial plant date, allowable for crop insurance purposes. So a product like Replan Extra that you mentioned will allow them to buy up that initial plant date, have an earlier replant date available, or some help if they find themselves needing to replant if they've planted in advance of that initial plant date. And it provides additional dollars in coverage, and also important when you look at the cost of production today. So a very popular option, becoming so.
One of the things that producers might not be aware of, or maybe they are aware of, double crop soybeans are, raised in this part of the world, if you plant wheat. And up to as recently, there was not really any coverage available for them, but there is now in our area.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, there can be. And so I will tell you that there's a grouping of counties, particularly in Central Ohio, and that includes counties like those in our listening area here that would be Allen and Allglaze, Hardin, Shelby, et cetera, and others. And double crop soybeans, if planted, are not insurable in those counties as it stands today. But the program was simplified just a few years ago that allows growers to request coverage for beans planted that follow another crop like a small grain like wheat or barley. And so if they would like to do that, they need to visit with an agent prior to March 15th because selecting this option or choosing to insure those is required by that crop insurance sales deadline. So again, March 15th. So talk with your agent about the impact of that or the implications. It's an interesting option. And again, if you have a lot of small grains that are growing, or if a grower has a lot of small grains that they planted last fall, and currently plan to plant soybeans following that crop, then they may want to talk with their agent about how they might protect those beans.
Well, Randy, a lot of information we had today, and a lot of information that's available out there for crop insurance, and March 15th is the final date.
That's right. It's coming up really quick. It's really dawned on me that as we've came into a new calendar year and just how quickly we've already progressed through the month of January. Gives us a little hope that warmer days are coming, not too far on the horizon. But yes, you were right. March 15th is a really key date for making those decisions. And so they need to think about having that discussion now and not waiting till the last minute. And so March 15th is the deadline.
If somebody wanted to find out more about what Rain and Hail offers, where can they go?
Yeah, appreciate that. So like so many, we have a footprint, out on the internet today, right? And so if they go to www.rainhail.com, they can find more information about Rain and Hail.
And if you want to find more information about crop insurance and Allen Davis Insurance, check us out on the web at allendavisinsurance.com. Or you can go to inohiocountry.com, and there will be a link there on that website as well. Randy, thanks for being with us.
Alan, thanks so much for having me today. Much appreciated.
We'll be back with more right after this.